Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening to you. What a day. What a day. I want to welcome everyone to the broadcast tonight. For those who are joining me live and for those who are going to watch the replay, I want to thank you right now for allowing me a space in your life, in your time. I don't take it for granted. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much. So come on, I'm going to give Facebook a little time to do what they do well, and that is populate an audience. I'm going to allow my people, my peeps, to join me tonight. When you come into the room, say hello so I can greet you. And as you come into the room, I'm going to share the broadcast. Tonight is going to be a little different than previous nights. A little different, but you know what? I am allowing God to do what he does best, and he is a healer. How many of you know that God has a plan, and he has a plan for you? And we can make all of these grand plans all we want to. Good morning, Susan. Thank you for joining me tonight, sweetie. Thank you so much for joining me. And so before I go any further, I am going to get the shenanigans out of the way and just introduce myself. I am Jay. I'm founder and CEO of Matters in My Heart, which is an emotional support program for adult survivors of childhood, domestic, and sexual abuse. Now, remember the word survivor because I'm going to come back to that later. I'm also the creator of the I Am Empowerment group. It's a Facebook group. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you, Susan. I appreciate that. It's nice to know that people care about my health. I am not feeling well tonight, but you know what? I found out the reason why I'm not feeling well. And so, again, I am the founder and creator of the I Am Empowerment Movement group, which is a private Facebook group. It's an online support group for those who have experienced adult survivors of childhood, domestic, and sexual abuse. That is my mission, to heal broken hearts, to heal those who have been in a place of pain for such a long time. And tonight's conversation was going to be about unrealistic expectations, but a few moments before the broadcast, God really began to deal with me about survival. Oftentimes when we are, I'm going to try not to cry because I've been crying all before the broadcast. Oftentimes when we've been in a place of hurt, when we've been offended, when we've been abused, when we've been taken advantage of, we feel useless. We feel alone. We feel broken. We feel lost. We feel confused. We feel a level of disparity. We feel empty. We feel lonely. we feel like no one understands. We feel like God has given up on us. We feel like there's nothing left for us. We feel like we are unloved and unlovable. And that is pain. That pain causes us to, I apologize in advance, but pain leaves us in a space of feeling unwanted and unloved. Whatever caused the pain, we're not even talking about the cause of pain right now. We're talking about the exact pain. We're talking about that feeling, that heaviness, that weightiness that we carry around with us in our hearts, in our spirits, in our soul. And we get to a place where we feel hopeless. And tonight, if you are joining me live and if you are watching the replay, it is not by accident. It is by design. Because tonight I want to fill your mind, your soul, your spirit with hope. Before the broadcast, I was listening to a song by Marvin Sapp. If you haven't heard it, I'm going to post it on the wall. And I can post the link in the group or in the video after the broadcast. But it's called My Testimony. And over and over and over in the song, he kept saying, I made it through. I made it through. Oftentimes when we're in pain, all we can see is the pain. And so it's very difficult for us to see that we made it through. That not a lot of people who have experienced or have gone through what we have gone through lived to tell the story. Some had given up through suicide, through a broken heart. Did you know you can die from a broken heart? There is a such thing. There is a such thing that you can really actually pass away from a broken heart. The medical doctors call it something. I'm not even going to try to attempt to even pronounce it. But there is a such thing as a broken heart. And so my encouragement to you tonight is to not look at all that you've gone through, to not focus on your past as a negative, but to look at it and look at all the things that God brought you through, that Jehovah brought you through, that Jehovah Nisi. You know, God has so many names. Whatever we need, God has a name for it. I wrote a blog about the many names of God. Whatever we need, God has a name for it, which means that he has a provision already made. Oh God, thank you. Already made for us. Thank you for joining me tonight. Whoever just joined, thank you. Thank you for joining me tonight. Tonight, before I get into the conversation of unrealistic expectations, I want to pour a little bit of encouragement into you tonight. I want to speak to that broken heart, and I want to speak to that unforgiveness, and I want to speak to that pain. And I want to speak to that loneliness, and I want to speak to that empty soul. You see, when you are in a place of feeling empty, you are in the right position, honey, to be filled by God with whatever you need, whatever provision that you need. You can look at your situation as dire. You can look at your situation as crisis. Thank you for who's joining me. Thank you, everyone, for who's joining me tonight. I'm going to get to the subject, but I gotta get this off my heart first. You can look at your situation as the worst. You can look at it as rock bottom. You can look at it as, I've never been in this place before and I don't see a way out. But tonight I want to encourage you. Tonight I want to pour and speak strength into your soul and into your spirit. I want you to understand that you are not alone, that God has not forsaken you, that God has not tossed you away to the side, that God has not given up on you. Your dreams, your aspirations, your desires, your purpose, it is yet there. It is yet there, and God is still healing you. In the midst of the storm, God is there. There are so many stories in the Bible where God's people was faced with calamity, was faced with their enemies, was faced with a disaster, and God came in and saved them. When they were faced with a broken heart because they lost someone that they love, and God came in and healed their broken heart. Before I get into the conversation I want to have with you tonight, I want you to understand that you, in all of your brokenness, in all of your confusion, in all of your whatever you fill in the blank, God is still there. He still reigns. He still sits high and looks low. He still loves you. And that may be hard to interpret or understand right now, but I want to encourage you to just hold on a little while longer. I want to encourage you to just trust a little while longer. I want to encourage you to just have a little bit more faith, a little while longer. Don't give up just yet. Don't give up. It is important that you don't give up, because on the other side of that mountain, on the other side of that valley, on the other side of that storm is your blessing. If you've never heard of the story of Job, I'll give you a very quick synopsis of Job. Job was a very faithful man. He was the most faithful, the Bible calls him. In the Bible, God called him my faithful servant. Job was rich. He had everything that he ever wanted. He had land. He had, he had a wife and children, and everyone around him, all of his inheritance, everyone around him and in his family were rich. And they lived well. He had good health. He had a lot of money. And in that time, animals and land equated to money, equated to wealth. And Job was a very wealthy man, but he was also humble and he was faithful to God. He understood where his wealth came from. I said I was going to make the story short. But Job was attacked. Job was attacked and he lost everything. He even lost his health. He even lost his health in a way that he had boils all over his body. So imagine being in pain. Some of you may have a health situation. I know I have a health ailment in my body where once a month I am in so much pain that all I can do is lay in bed. I'm very limited in my movement when that pain hits me. But it wasn't compared to nothing like what Job had. But Job lost it all. All of his family was killed. All of his children killed. All of his land burned. He lost it all, even his health. And his wife came to him and she said, why don't you just curse this God and die? His wife told him to give up on God, but Job, he said, lady, you must be crazy. And there was a point in the story. Now, Job has a couple of chapters in the book. There was a point when Job began to lose his faith. Yes. Huh. You're with me, Nicole. See, Nicole knows the word. Job's wife came to him and she said, you need to curse God and die. That's what she said. And then there was a point in the story of Job that's not often preached in church. But there was a point where Job began to question and to doubt God. Because he had been in this challenge. He had been in this suffering and this pain and this suffering for quite some time, longer than he thought he would be. How many of you have been in a place where you knew God was going to deliver you, but in your mind, you had it set that deliverance was going to come just like that, because God is just like that. He don't take all day to do nothing. He has the power to change a situation in a matter of seconds before you can even blink. And you have that kind of faith. But when he don't show up when you think he should show up, how many of you still have that faith that he's going to do it? Because he said he was. Because his word said he was going to do it. I want to encourage you tonight to not give up. I want to encourage you tonight to hold on to that faith, to hold on to that promise that God had promised you. I'm not speaking from any other experience other than my own. Other than my own. I know because I lived it. I know because God has done it for me over and over and over and over again. I know because I have a history with God. Listen to my words. I have a history with God of delivering me from things that I didn't think he was capable of delivering me from. Ooh, catch that. Catch that. I've been lowest of the low. I've been homeless where I slept in a 2-door car. Ford Escort with my 1-year-old. Everything I owned was in that car. And I slept in that car with my 1-year-old daughter. Homeless for a month or so. No one knew.